Hey everyone, welcome to Season 1, Episode 21 of the Film Bros Championship Podcast. I am Tim, with me is my co-host Patrick. How you doing, buddy?
Come on, Kubo, let's get it on.
I, in a quick, brief feeling of the movie, I was I think this is very similar at the end of the movie to Class of 1984, to where you're kind of like, all right, there's some stuff I like, and then it gets to the end and you're like, okay, all right, I'm feeling this now.
Yeah, that ending is very like, oh hell yes, let's go.
Yeah, I wish there was more of that throughout the entire movie. Is just that ending part.
The highs are high, the lows are low in this movie.
Yeah, I think that sums it up quite nicely.
Yeah,
but I overall, I think I rated it pretty well. I think it's going to end up kind of high.
Cool. I thought I'd have to fight with you more on this. Excellent. All right.
No. Again, that ending beat really, really pulled it up.
Yeah.
So, but this is your pick, so you get to run us down on the challenge.
Okay, real quick, a down-and-out boxer, American boxer, gets a hot job to help smuggle a sword back into Japan from this feuding family of two brothers who both want the sword. And, yeah, hijinks ensue. He's stuck in this war.
Yeah, he's caught in the middle of it, kind of, and he doesn't quite understand it. That's for sure.
No.
But embraces it.
Yeah.
At the same time. Hijinks is an interesting word choice, though. I don't know if I quite go there, but yeah.
It's a lot of fish out of water stuff and mixed with,
sure.
Traditional, wow, American in Japan. This place is so weird. Yeah. They've made a lot of these movies, especially back then.
For sure. Especially in the dinner sequence. Although that gave me like a little bit of Indiana Jones and Temple of Doom vibes.
This movie came out 2 years before. I wrote down the same thing.
Yeah. Just a little.
Funny enough, I don't know, 4 years before this movie came out, 4 or 5 years before, there was this movie called The Yakuza, directed by Sidney Pollack. And you know where the final scene takes place in this movie? That same location was used in the previous movie. In the Yakuza. It was also a headquarters. It's son of a bitch, I know this place. I've seen this before.
I guess I haven't seen that movie. You know what it made me kind of want to rewatch is Black Rain.
Good movie.
Yeah.
Good movie. Yeah, absolutely.
Been a long time since I've seen that.
Yeah.
But, all right, so I guess we should start off with our hero, Rick.
Rick Murphy. He's Irishman.
Oh, see, I didn't catch you. They said his last name?
Yeah.
Yeah, I missed that. Okay. I learned something today.
There you go.
So Rick. I guess he's over the hill sports-wise, but he's still got a few tricks up his sleeve.
Yeah, he's past his prime boxer. Man, he's turning into a sparring partner now to make cash. But don't talk trash to him or he will lay your ass out.
Yeah. He knows how to take a beating, which I think is important, I guess, because he does take a beating actually quite a lot in this movie.
Oh, yeah. What's really incredible is that Scott Glenn is... Actually, I didn't even check. How old is Scott Glenn in this movie?
I want to check his height. I was curious to check his height.
Okay. Well, that's... Oh, man.
You check his age. I'll check height. Oh, so Scott Glenn is definitely not as tall as I thought.
Okay.
He's 6 foot.
Okay, he was 43 in this movie. Or 42, probably.
Oh, wow, okay.
He has the same body now as he did then.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
That man kept in great shape.
He did.
Bronson to be proud.
But definitely like a leaner dude just to begin with.
Yeah. But, skinny guys fight to the bone.
Or the bourbon, right?
I think it's the bone.
I always thought it was the bone, but then I thought I remember hearing it once, and I thought I remember hearing it differently to bourbon. But
it's been a minute since I've watched Fight Club, but we'll have to rewatch with the sub.
Yeah, no, I love Fight Club so much, but then I felt like it became like trendy hipster, like you're a douche for liking Fight Club that much.
Well,
and so I was like, all right, maybe I should cool off on my love of Fight Club.
There are some people who just didn't get the point.
Yeah.
And we're like, no, being in a Fight Club is cool. Like, okay, you didn't get this.
Yeah, you missed the boat. You missed the whole point.
Yeah. Anyway, this movie.
Yeah, this movie. He's definitely got a bit of a wisecracking nature to himself. Right? Not that he's like slinging jokes, but he's sarcastic and he'll throw some shade at people.
Yeah. He's definitely a smart aleck. We'll talk back. He does not like authority, especially people who think they have authority over him.
Right. He has like a whole thing at one point where it was like you have to kneel. And he's like, yeah, I'm not gonna kneel. I can't do that.
Like
or whatever.
3 scenes later, he's kneeling now.
Yeah, I know. I think that's my biggest problem with most of the movie and the characters. Like I feel like I see what they're trying to do and what they want to do, but I don't feel like it's always earned.
Well, yeah, I agree with this. The funny thing is that this was originally supposed to take place in China, completely different culture.
Yeah,
and they brought John Sayles over to Japan. They gave him 5 days to rewrite it for Japan. They took him over to the Kyoto International Complex, which is where the ending headquarters fight takes place. So you get 1 day there, then you got in 4 days you're in a Japanese hotel and you just got to write, and you got to transition everything. So they really didn't have a lot of time to like fix this the way it needed to be. I feel like
that almost makes sense because I feel like it was really just there were some scenes in the street, some scenes at the dojo, that office building, and then a hotel.
Yeah,
and those are the locations in this movie.
And actually, I took a picture of this one. There's a really good bit of trivia in this. Here we go. According to Scott Glenn, the original script was about a ruthless club fighter from California with no family and no real background who gets involved in bringing a sword to Japan. So far, more or less the same. Mm-hmm. And through lots of crazy adventure, he winds up with a martial arts sensei. The core of the movie would have been about a father and son finding each other from completely different cultures. And then after shooting started, Glenn became very aware very quickly that all those character-driven scenes were either being cut or shortened to almost no existence. And that he was doing a martial arts movie instead. Toshiro Mifune came to him and told him, look, this is what's happening. I'm disappointed. I know you are, but this is what it is. So you can either have your heart broken every day, or you can use this experience as an opportunity to be spending an interesting time in Japan with me as your tour guide. And Scott Glenn was like, fuck yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, I can't imagine a cooler way to experience Japan than on the arm of Toshiro Mifune.
Yeah. That is for sure. Yeah, definitely. The ADR at times is a bit much.
Well, let's get into our hero. It's not.
Yeah, well, I was just gonna say because like we start off with him in that sparring match, with this young kind of Asian-looking boxer that he's supposed to be training.
There's a lot of dubbing in this movie, yeah.
Yeah, and so there's this. They're supposed to do dialogue, but they're both wearing mouth guards. And so there's like this ADR that comes in while they're wearing mouth guards. Like, oh, that really doesn't work.
Yeah.
That's why I brought that up at first. But then, yes, we'll bring up the rest of the ADR later.
Yeah. Anyway, so after he's supposed to be just a sparring partner for this Japanese boxer, I'm guessing, in Los Angeles. And the guy starts cracking wise to him, telling him like, you're washed or whatever. So Scott Glenn lays him out. He's just like, fuck you. I'm not washed.
Yeah.
And
gets fired.
That sparks the eye of a visitor to the gym who was looking for someone to help him smuggle his sword back to Japan. And
yeah, I'm curious why this gym, why that specific fighter, like, it's very not dwelled on much there.
You have to place the dots together by yourself. All I can gather is that he's a Japanese man. He was asking about a tough Japanese guy could help him out, and that was a Japanese boxer. He's in town. You should check him out.
Yeah, I was also thinking like
because he said he went there for him, but then you beat him, so I'm coming to you now.
You did say that, but I'm also wondering like why. I mean, I'm sure there's so many guys, but I'm thinking like that's the location or the somewhat area where he bought the sword. Because remember, he's recovering the sword.
Yeah.
Because it got lost in time, basically.
It got sold
sold a bunch of times.
It got sold to an American military personnel post World War II for like a couple of bucks or something like that.
Yeah. So he's tracked it down, and I'm wondering if this is the area where he's tracked it down. And meanwhile, since I'm in this area, let's see who's in this area who can fight, and then
I'm sure they
yada yada yada.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he comes to him in his apartment. He makes some funny jokes, like as he thinks he's getting sued by that boxer for beating him up, and he's like, "Yeah, take me for all my worth. You can get that couch there, that freezer, that fridge is broken." Like, there's some funny jokes. Like, he pulls it off. Like, Scott Glenn's good.
Scott Glenn is good.
Yeah.
This is his first starring role, by the way.
I mean, I guess that makes sense, right? I mean, it really is a.
He just had a bit part, a supporting part, I guess you say, in Urban Cowboy, and this is the first time they gave him a shot at being the lead.
Right. And I'm trying to remember, when's the first time I probably, saw him in.
Hunt for Red October.
Probably, right? Or either that or Silence of the Lambs.
You definitely saw Hunt for Red October first.
No, I know. I'm just trying. You think I saw Hunt for October for Silence of the Lambs? Probably.
Yeah. You were...
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
It took a while for you to catch up to Silence of the Lambs. You were a little too young for that when that came out. We both were.
Fair enough. Yeah.
But Hunt for October we had to watch right away because we had a grandfather was in the Navy and an uncle was in the Navy, and they made sure we watched the thing.
No, and it's Connery.
Well, yeah. We would...
Yeah.
We hadn't fallen in love with Connery yet. That might have been our first Connery movie. No, Highlander was definitely the first Connery movie.
Yeah, Highlander probably. Yeah. Well,
anyway, yeah.
Yeah.
So this guy offers him $400 a day plus expenses, which by the way is like $1,200 a day in today's money.
Pretty good.
And he's like, yeah, it's like 5 days work. And he's like, yeah, all right. You just need me to help you with smuggles? Yeah, sure. I don't care.
Well, I mean, he does ask, why me? I don't really, what's the catch here? He does ask a little bit, but then I think the money's a little too overwhelming for him to be like, all right.
By the way,
your answers are good enough.
Stunning that this man in that piece of crap apartment who has no money to his name has an up-to-date passport and is ready to go in a moment's notice.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe he conserves his money for passports and stuff like that instead of his haircut,
Yeah, Scott Glenn has this. I don't know how to describe it. It's not.
It's like a bowl cut almost.
It's definitely a bowl cut in front, but it keeps on coming down. It's more like a Prince Valiant-ish, but closer to the sides. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It seems like he should be with his hair. He would fit in with. So maybe his hair is of the era. I don't know. He would fit in with. Oh heck, what's that movie? That stoner movie. With Ben Affleck and the bat and everything. Why can't I think of the overrated movie?
I'm
driving.
You're gonna get us in trouble for that one.
I know. Dazed and Confused.
Yes, there it is. Thank you.
Yeah, he looks like he could if he a younger version of him would be hanging around with the Dazed and Confused people, with his hair and everything. But yeah, anyway, I think that movie is overrated.
I do too. But
neither here nor there.
Now I gotta go. Yeah, I guess it's a little bit like McConaughey's hair.
Yeah,
in that movie, a little bit.
So and then we go from him accepting to him being in customs in a Japanese airport. So there's no budget to show anything else. Just go right there.
We got to get moving. This movie is long enough as it is. So
yeah.
Everything else from here to the next 20 minutes or so is basically all action scenes, except for one exposition dump. So there's not much to talk about for the hero for there. We'll get into that stuff later.
He immediately gets jumped, all that kind of stuff, and then he finds himself with the other brother. Actually, he finds himself with the bad guy brother, which he's clearly very oh my gosh, because he's got a sword to him, and he's seen some crazy stuff even before that. So he does a good job of being I just I don't know what to do. I just want to leave. Yeah,
everyone just assumes he knows the whole story and he's in on everything. He's like, I don't know what the hell you're talking about, man.
Yeah,
I'm just a guy.
Yeah, and he's gets himself into even more craziness, and he's basically injured, and then he's brought to the other brother. And so then it's like, what's going to happen there? And then we get that more fish out of water stuff.
Right. The big dinner table scene, like you said, it's very much Temple of Doom vibes.
Yeah.
And he gets drunk, trying to wash down the taste of eating like live eel.
Yeah.
And he just makes an ass out of himself.
And everybody's laughing at him.
Asked for country fried steak and gravy and a chili dog. In his defense, they were slicing up that very obviously real live lobster.
Yes!
And I was like, yeah, eat it. I'm like, that's effed up, man.
Yeah, I can't believe they showed that on camera and everything. Like, just...
Yeah.
And it's still moving on the plate and everything, and his reaction to it moving on the plate.
Yeah, it's... yeah, it's screwed.
Man,
that one was screwed up.
That seemed all very legit, and I was just kind of shocked. Like, there's no way you can get away with that today. That's for sure. Like,
yeah.
Oh.
So after all that, he gets up and he's all hungover and grumpy.
Yeah.
And he's very unimpressed with all the I don't know, how would you describe the training?
The training.
Yeah,
it's like a Bond training place almost.
Very much. It's like an old. Would you describe Mifune's character as a samurai or what? Because
I guess so, with the two swords and everything like that.
Yeah, it feels like that, but then when you see him in action later on in the movie, it feels more ninja than samurai.
Well, yeah, because the throwing stars is kind of what throws you off, because the throwing star, under my impression, is more of a ninja thing.
Yeah.
But the bow and arrow and the two swords, all that, and the way he dresses and everything, that's all very samurai.
Exactly. But like when he's charging the headquarters at the end of the movie, like, this feels...
Because it's all,
ninja.
It's way more stealth.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's which is a little weird, because you'd think like, no, I don't think a samurai is more face to face. And the whole point of the ninja was to combat.
I don't think
the
he ever
samurai.
actually labels himself. He just says traditional Japanese. I think that's what he says throughout the movies.
That is true.
Yeah.
That is true.
Like, okay.
Maybe he's learned both schools
there.
I don't know.
Yeah. So anyway, Mifune finds his disrespect kind of amusing, and he's like, "Tell you what, I'll just give you the damn sword if you can beat anybody here."
Well, I think he says you can have your money.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Because the reason why he stays after he gets healthy again, like he gets over his injury, but he's sticking around because someone's got to pay him. So they let him be there for a while until he gets annoying enough, basically. And they're like, all right, fine. Like, you take on any of us and you end up beating any one of us. Like, yeah, have your money and you can go. Well, actually, I don't even think they say you have to beat him. Just take on one of our guys. That's it.
Yeah.
I think win or lose, here's your money, basically.
Yeah, sorry, it's been a little while. You took so long to watch this movie. Just like 2 weeks ago.
My bad.
Yeah.
Stuff came up.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, that's where we get my favorite line. Come on, Kubo, let's get it on.
And he gets embarrassed. But
yeah, he gets his ass
we'll
kicked.
say that. Yeah.
And it's like really just hands Rick his ass in very simple ways.
Yeah, and it's like he kind of says it in the movie too. Like, I've been beaten before. Like, I've lost, but I've never been beaten like this. Like, truly just embarrassed. And I think that's what gets him interested and be like, all right, what's going on here? I need to know more, type of deal.
He was no match for basic bitch Aikido.
Yeah.
By the way, Steven Seagal was a martial arts supervisor for this movie.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Didn't know that.
I did not.
There you go.
I learned something.
But before that happens, he kowtows to Mifune, who I think his character name is Yoshida, and I should probably stop calling him Mifune. But sorry, he's
Yoshida.
Yoshida. Oh my god.
Yoshida.
Yeah. According to IMDb, anyway.
Yeah, because there's a O right there, Yoshida. Yeah. I guess I don't know. Yeah.
Anyway, he leaves the school like bummed. He's got his money. He's just like, F it. I'm so tired of this place. And he learns the hard way about Japanese hostess bars.
Yeah.
Another example of fish out of water stuff.
Yeah, that was
like,
funny.
My man, even if you're paying for the girl's drinks, you have to pay for the time you spent talking to her too. And he's like, that's absurd. I'm like, that's Japan.
Yep. I can't wait to come back to that scene when we talk about villains too.
Yes, I know. Same way.
It's such an interesting shot and moment.
Yes.
But anyway, so now he's convinced to basically go back and say you want to know more, and it's all a ruse just to steal the sword back. So he's going to get even more money than he was promised originally. So he's like, all right, cool. Like, I'll go do that.
Yeah.
In the meantime, he's like not interested, but he like gets chummy with a boy there and
goes through the motions of a montage, but never really get a montage. Really frustrating.
I know. I wrote this down several.
We need a montage.
Several times I wrote that note of we really need a montage.
Even Rocky had a montage.
Yeah, it's just like, again, it kind of goes back to that like not really earned. I think you get like one scene where he eventually like you see him like, hey, I've learned to cut the bamboo tree down.
I appreciate it on his first attempt. He just freaking breaks the sword.
Yeah.
Like, oh.
Yeah.
That's wild because I've seen Mifune do this a million times in a million movies and it looks so easy.
Yeah. And then you eventually show him able to cut it. But besides that,
that's it.
You never really see him learning anything.
They just fast forward to him being good at stuff now.
Yeah. And I thought that was so frustrating because I felt like the fighting with him with that was annoying. I felt the same way with his relationship with Yoshida. Like they barely talk to each other. They barely have any moments with each other that you can see them starting to like each other or something. And it's the same thing with the love interest, because like all of a sudden there's a thing there when there was nothing there to begin with.
Nothing. There was no setup. They're just doing it.
Yeah, because I think he does try to make a move on her at one point towards and then she pulls away like, what the hell are you doing? And then almost like 2 scenes later, they're doing it. So it's like, wait, what? Like this is only like their third time seeing together, and now we're getting to this point. So
speaking of unearned, so eventually he finds a perfect opportunity to steal the sword, and he gets away with it. And he's out the door. He's halfway down the block, and he stops. He looks at the sword, and he decides, no, I'm going to go back and give it back and explain myself.
Right.
And they knew the whole time. They were waiting for him to do it.
Right.
Can you explain why he decided to?
No.
It's like
something on the sword.
You just look at the sword, like, man, it's pretty. I can't steal this. I don't know what it was.
Maybe he starts thinking of honor and stuff. I really don't know, because he doesn't know the story yet, because he doesn't learn the story till after that.
Yeah, about the story of the sword, which we'll get into later.
Yeah, so it's like it's really like, again, just not earned. It doesn't make sense.
What he does earn is the master's respect after the fact, because he agrees to be buried up to his neck with no food or water. And he lasts for like 5 days, and at the end he's completely delirious and seeing things that aren't there. It's
probably Scott Glenn's like real time to shine and best moments of the movie, because he really just kind of grows a lot of likability and some funny moments, and he's singing, and him trying to like eat a bug, and he eventually successfully eats a beetle, or a rat's coming at him, and he's like trying to make these like noises and mouth motions to the rat to try to scare the rat off. Like, there's some funny, good, like anybody else, and this would have been really bad. So good job, Scott Glenn.
When they give him room to breathe and do stuff, he shines. But they so rarely do in this movie, and it's unfortunate.
Yeah, because like the other good part too is like when stuff has really gotten bad, people have died, and he's like yelling at them. Like,
I love that. I love that scene where he's like, all this over a sword? What is wrong with you people? This is ridiculous. Yeah. A child has been hurt.
Dying, and they're using guns, and you have swords and archery. Like, this is like, he's not playing by your traditional rules, and like, it was some good stuff there. And again, it's like you get it in like basically 2 parts or 2 scenes, maybe a little sprinkling, but it's just a bummer that you don't get enough of that.
Like, if they had added like 15 more minutes to this movie just to explain some stuff and to have some kind of like
relationship building moments with some of these characters besides the boy.
All of it. Yes, yeah, for real. It would have been 100 times better, but we just never get, so it just feels like fractured.
Yeah, because I feel like the end too would, as much as I loved the ending, it would have been elevated that much more if the relationship with Yoshida was earned and better built.
They never have any one-on-one time in the movie, because because they don't decide to have Mifune speak any English in it. So I'm like, that's okay. I respect it. I'd rather them not dub him because he's great. It would take away some of his performance if you dub him. But like, I don't know. It just doesn't work. Maybe he could have had Glenn understand Japanese or something. I guess that wouldn't work either. But still, it sucks that they didn't have more time to bond at all.
Or have some moments of like unspoken stuff.
Yeah, that would have worked too.
But it's just, you barely get stuff with them at all. Like most of the stuff of them together is them, like him either acting like an ass or him yelling at Yoshida for, being so stubborn, basically. And that's about it.
Yeah. And to the ending's point, it would have been nice to have had some kind of explanation for why Rick is so proficient with guns. It's like, this is new. I didn't know you had this skill. Where did this come? I know they didn't have any at the school. Like, a line of dialogue that just said, like, I was in the army or something would have been nice.
It would have sufficed, yeah.
Yeah. Maybe it was there and I missed it. I don't know. But if you didn't catch it either,
it's possible.
I feel better about
I didn't catch it either.
Yeah.
I didn't catch that either. No, I have no idea.
Anyway,
it's possible.
We've covered everything I want to say about the main character. Unless you have something else.
No, I think that's about it. I mean, let me just double check here again. I think that I feel like the other things that I would want to say is kind of tied to other characters.
Yeah, exactly.
I
gave him a 2.5, and it's really just off of the star power of Scott Glenn, because my band he stands out. He's good. But there's
he is.
They don't give him enough to do. They don't give him any runway to play with.
Yeah.
So it's like, I can only give you halfway. It's like, And
he does a lot for what little is given for him.
Yeah.
And I think if it wasn't for him, this could have been a lot rougher.
Yeah, if there were a lesser actor in there, it would have this is not good.
It could have been real bad. Like, imagine if like they put like, I don't know, the kid from The Soldier in this spot. You know what I mean? That would have been rough,
I was gonna go with Michael Beck from Battle Truck.
Yeah, exactly.
That was gonna be my example, but yeah, that's
like one of those two, and it's like, oof, man. But he has enough charisma to him that he's able to really save a lot of this character for the movie. And so I agree. Actually, that's exactly what I scored at 2.5.
All right, there you go.
Yeah, simpatico.
Villain.
This is my shortest section, without a doubt.
Not my shortest section, because I included
the henchman.
I included Ando in here, and I love him. I love him so much.
That's the right hand man guy, the American?
Yeah. He's great.
That you're like at first you're like, oh, okay, and then all of a sudden you're clued in. Oh, he's not Japanese. He's an American. Okay. Because there's and I'm sorry, I'm jumping ahead right to it. I love the scene in the bar where he's just playing an arcade game while talking to him. It's such an actual very cool shot.
Yeah,
because it's panned on his face with Scott Glenn in the background, and you see him legitimately playing this arcade game and doing fairly well in the arcade game. And he's having a very serious speech conversation. And it's one of the bright spots in the movie.
I had to watch that scene twice because I was just entranced from watching him play the video game.
Yeah, same. But he definitely he takes up a room when he's in it. Like when you first get him hijacking Rick there when he gets off the plane, right? And that's a lot of him. Making the threats and inflicting some of the punishments that he's, torturing some people to get, answers about the sword.
Well, let's
his whole speech.
Let's get into Hideo.
Okay.
Our main villain.
Oh man, that ADR.
So
it's unfortunate.
I disagree.
You think it makes it better?
I find it fascinating, and I'll explain why in a bit.
Okay.
But let's give a little background on Hideo. The movie actually starts with Hideo being.
You don't know it.
We don't know later
who these people are yet, but yes,
we see a ceremony which a sword is being transferred to one person.
Yeah.
a boy goes up to go and transfer the sword from the grandfather to his father, and that's when our villain, Hideo, we find out later, is outraged, grabs one of the swords, and slices the kid, we find out later is his nephew, across the back, permanently paralyzing him for life, and runs away with the sword.
Which is the guy who is trying to get the sword smuggled is in a wheelchair, so you very quickly can kind of put two and two together. That's him.
Yeah.
Like the boy is the dude in the wheelchair type of deal. They do show a shot of in that scene with Hideo kind of almost giving a face like, "Ooh, I didn't mean to do that.
Yeah.
Oh no."
Yeah.
But then the rest of the movie could not care less.
No, he is such like a cool Japanese villain because he's like, I don't care about honor.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna steal this thing from you. I don't care. And he's like,
it's just,
and his brother's like, what? And he's like, yeah.
It's just a weird choice to go from like that scene in the beginning where he's like, "Oh no, I didn't mean to do that," to being like, "I really don't care
sure
what happens to my own family."
We're not sure what happened to this dude past World War II. There were some harsh times.
Yeah, maybe World War II really messed him up, I guess.
But yeah, he's basically become a frontman for the Yakuza, the public-facing frontman, for the straight man for them that does their business for them. The guy dubbing Hideo is Paul Frees.
Okay,
and
it sounds almost familiar.
He is the voice of Boris Badenkoff in Rocky and Bullwinkle.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
He was also sorry, I wrote down. I was looking at the Burgermeister in Santa Claus is Coming to Town.
I knew this, like, the voice sounded familiar. I was almost thinking, I was like, this almost sounds like Peter Cullen's doing a really weird impression.
Yes, that's exactly what I wrote down. He sounds like Optimus Prime. What the hell is going on? This is so cool. The bad guy sounds like Optimus Prime. This is amazing.
Yes. It's like, why is Optimus Prime trying to do a Japanese accent? This is weird.
He's barely trying to do a Japanese accent, which is my favorite part about it. He just sounds like Optimus Prime. Like, what's going on?
It's such an unnatural voice coming out from this dude.
I love it so much.
It's so bizarre.
I'm so angry we don't get more of it.
I was like, I wanted to write notes about his automatic glass door case that opens for his sword, the one sword he does have, and it's an automatic, and it makes such a recognizable noise of the glass door opening just to get to his sword. And I was like, wow, this is so crazy. But then he starts talking, and I'm like, whoa, hold on, we got bigger things to worry about now.
Anyway, we don't get a lot more of him after this.
Yeah, he pops up like once more later to like, hey, you gonna meet the sword now? No, okay, bye. And then you don't get him again until the end.
Exactly. That's 2 more scenes and that's it. And it's
that's why I'm like not much down here.
And I'm not sure we get even more of him talking with that Paul Frees voiceover too. It's just devastating for me. Luckily, we have a main henchman in this movie worthy of a Bond movie in Ando.
Yeah.
Played by Calvin Young. And this guy is efficient, hilarious, and hilariously sarcastic.
Yeah, I'm amazed too. Like, I still can't get over like how much leeway as a henchman he's given.
Yeah.
Because like he's got Hideo's nephew, and he's just going to kill him and push his wheelchair out of a moving vehicle to go off of a bridge. And Hideo's like, okay. What?
Gotta do what you gotta do.
Like my boss wants to see you random American. I'm gonna bring you, but I'm just gonna like randomly murder his nephew and nobody's gonna care. It's like, what?
The first time we see him, he captures Rick right away and shoves him into his van. And Rick's just like, what the hell? And like at first he's like, how do you like Japan so far? And she's like, whoa,
very charismatic. Yeah, right away.
See, and then he's trying to explain the whole deal to Rick. What's going on? He's like, they're queer for swords over here. I don't get it. I'm like, what?
Yeah. I have to say, when he's walking with him in the corporate headquarters there, there's a chunk of from the truck, from him picking him up in the van or whatever to the taxi, and then to the van, and then to the corporate headquarter building. it's a long time of just him talking.
Yeah, it's
and eventually, don't get me wrong, there was stuff I enjoyed, but eventually I was like, I think because it's such a straight amount of time of him talking, I'm starting to tune it out.
No, same thing happened to me. They want to show how secure and awesome this place is to make the ending seem more impressive, but it takes so long that you're just like, what is he saying now?
Yeah, I'm getting lost in
it.
Yeah.
I had the same, and it's a bummer because the Blu-ray that I bought, very pretty, doesn't have any subtitles on it. It is bare bones. Like, you watch the movie or nothing. It's like, oh.
Yeah, I'm curious how much it got upgraded to, because there's moments in the movie where the quality is poor, and the moments where it looks okay. It's kind of like the very beginning part with that.
Yeah, anytime the movie's
ceremony,
at night, it looks a little rough. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, so I don't know how great the transfer is, but it's about as good as you can get, I think.
Yeah, I bet.
When Ando is brutally torturing Toshio, who's the paralyzed son, to get to reveal where the sword is, he literally takes out hunks of his flesh, and we're seeing this happen.
Yeah, he goes right behind the ear and starts which is a clever thing, so you don't actually have to see the blood, or you don't have to actually see the cutting, so you can kind of get away with it, but you still show a motion of cutting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then could immediately hide anything that doesn't look real, and then lots of blood. And then you do a cutaway to the city landscape, and then you cut back in the van, and he's just covered in blood.
It looks like Pinhead has had a couple of minutes with him with his hell chains. His flesh is ripped.
Then he's like, "Yeah, I got everything I need from you," and then boom.
Yeah, no, he
out you go.
Brutally efficient. My one issue with Ando is not the height disparity between him and Scott Glenn.
Yeah,
causes some scenes to be just hilarious. Like when he has to knock him out from hitting him on the back of the head, he sort of kind of got to jump and get on his tiptoes to do it.
It almost looked like Scott Glenn was already leaning forward anyway.
Yeah, it just doesn't look great. Like,
he's definitely not a physical threat.
So we need to have the full, if you shot it in closer, you could have made him look a little taller.
Yeah.
It would have been easier.
I don't think he ever was really a physical threat in the movie. He's just kind of like, dang.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, he's a threat kind of like more the way he's thinking and the way he's ruthless, but he wasn't really much of like I'm going to fight you now type of thing.
No, he's always very cool and calm. He never gets too heated, and he's got clever plans to get what he wants.
I love the way he dies.
Yes, and we'll get into that action.
Yeah, I know.
I did write this down. I love the split diopter shot. With the video game, like you were talking about.
Oh yeah. It's a great scene. I think the best shot it has in the whole movie.
Yeah,
just the most interesting way they filmed it, camera angle. That's the best thing they did.
You're mostly just seeing his hands, but you see the reflection, like you said, on the screen, and then you have Glenn reacting to it, and the way he's even driving, just so smooth and calm, just letting you know how this guy is not to be messed with.
He's so in control of all of this.
It was a great touch by Frankenheimer.
Yeah, it was great. I agree.
My one thing I want to mention is the shocking amount of the bad guy goons have guns for a movie set in Japan. Yeah. One dude has an M16. Like, where do we...
Well,
we just stealing this off from the American military, or...
Yeah.
We are stationed.
Clearly, we're the opposite of tradition, is what they were trying to set there.
Yeah,
right?
but that's just a lot of guns for Japan.
Yeah, true. Very true. But yeah, modern military or modern building. They really try to hit you over the head with the modernness, which is a little weird because then in the end, randomly, Hideo, who's always been insanely nicely modernly dressed, is in a traditional outfit at the end for this, duel, which he was like, I'm not dueling you. I'm just going to shoot you.
Yeah, that's a problem because in the beginning of the movie, it's not the middle of the movie. He's the brother, Yoshida says, I'm going to challenge my brother to a duel to get the sword. And
and he has to accept because it's tradition.
Yeah, and Hideo shows up just to laugh in his face. Like, yeah, no, my guys are going to steal it from you. I'm out of here.
Yeah, and they have guns and goodbye. Yeah. So yeah, it's a weird thing to all of a sudden at the end be like, yes, let's have that duel now, and I'm already ready for you in my traditional outfit. It's like, wait,
yeah,
what?
He should have been in a suit. You're right.
Yeah, it's just like weird, unearned type things happening that's just frustrating.
Yeah. So what'd you give Villain?
I gave it a 2.
I gave it a 2.5. I really loved Ando.
I didn't love it enough. Because again, like as much as he had some cool, fun dialogue and lines and delivery, like he's not much of a physical threat. And our villains are just not in it very much.
No, that's true.
It's very limited screen time from villains at all.
Okay.
Every driving motivation of the villains you get from the heroes, never really from the villains themselves.
Yeah, it's just greed for at least. It's not that interesting. You're not wrong.
Yeah, so that's why for Ando is basically why I gave it a 2. So that's why I went with 2.
Okay, well we'll see how we feel about the other.
We'll come back. Yeah.
Action stunts.
Yeah. It's not paced well.
Nope.
With action for sure. And when you do get the action beats, sometimes it's slow, but every once in a while it's like, oh, okay, that was nice. You know what I mean? And then the ending, you're like, whoa. Yeah. So it's a weird, uneven action thing.
How familiar are you with John Frankenheimer movies? Just out of curiosity. Okay, so Frankenheimer did this movie called Grand Prix.
Okay. That's supposed to be like a classic.
I don't think it is. It's just a movie that I think is a classic.
Oh, maybe that's what maybe I've heard you talk about it before.
Yeah, it came out in '66, and it is the best racing movie I've ever seen. Like the way that it shot it, like, oh my God, I can't believe this came out in 1966. Absolutely incredible. And years later.
Oh, you know what? I think we talked about it in our episode on what's the movie? Junkman. I think you brought this up when we talked about the Junkman.
Yeah, it's one of those movies.
At least this movie, yeah.
Much like the Junkman is now, that's a movie I'm trying to beg people to watch. That one's a little tougher because it's like 3 hours long. Like, no, I swear to God, it's not boring. You just gotta watch it. But he also did Ronin in the 90s, which had other great action chase scenes.
Oh, yeah.
So when the movie starts off with the chase scene, when he first gets into Japan, Ando is hunting down Toshio's van, and it sucks.
It's not good,
It's just,
and it's really them trying to cover up how boring and lame it is by a lot of quick smash cuts to fish and other things in the market, and it's really
that's a later
disorienting.
That's the on the foot chase scene that comes afterwards.
Oh yeah.
That also is not that. That's when we're like, it looks like a travel log. Like, look how weird terrible. Japan is.
We're in a fish market, and then it's like he's running.
No, I'm just talking about the car
fish.
chase scene where they're just chasing after the van.
And
then Toshio lets his sister off to get away, so he'll get caught.
Yeah, I guess I didn't even. I thought it was so lame. I didn't even consider that a chase sequence.
In my defense, I was struggling to come up with action beats for this movie because this is.
I know. Well, the first one is you get the little bit of the sparring and the boxing in the beginning.
Yeah, if it wasn't for this ending, it's really hard to call. It's almost impossible to call this an action movie.
Yeah, because I mean, you get a little bit of training sequences, I guess, and then him getting his butt beat a couple times, and then the betrayal moment is kind of where you get a little bit more action. There's a nice sweep kick there by Rick when he faces his rival guy. I forget the dude's name. The guy that beat him up in the beginning. That beat him up.
Kubo.
Kubo. Okay, so he gets to face him again once the glasses dude betrays Yoshida, and Kubo, I guess, is part of that betrayal.
I don't think so.
So there is. I thought he was.
I think this is what I thought was really clever. So Go frames Kubo, saying, he let these guys in, like they're looking for Akiko, I think it was, and that's where Rick's like, how dare Kubo do this? That's ridiculous. He's what's he doing? And then he just gets them to go fight each other again while he uses his distraction to go steal the sword. That was my impression anyway.
Oh, you might be right. I thought they were both in on it at first because I have to say, like, I kind of looked away and then I looked up and I was like, wait a minute, how did that fight with Kubo end? I didn't quite catch how it ended, but at least the beginning part I thought looked kind of cool. Like, I thought, again, it was like a nice, cool sweep kick and a couple nice moves there. And and then I think some throwing star moves, and then that was about it. But like, at least so big gaps of like not much, some training, him getting beat up a couple of times, and then that moment. And so there's huge of non-action going on.
Yeah, there was another one. I want to point out that scene where Hideo responds to the challenge of and so like when the guys start coming at him with the guns, Rick, being a sneaky American, uses sneaky American tricks. And pretends to betray Yoshida and puts a sword up to his neck to get Hideo's men with the guns to come closer to him. Yeah. And then he cuts him down immediately when they get into within sword range.
Yeah.
And then the other guys are like, what? And but they're already running away by the time they can catch him. I think they only get one guy. But
they think they got one.
It's barely an action scene, but that's what we're working with here, folks.
Barely. But, I mean, yeah, you do get to see someone's, like, throat slit, I think, or something.
Yeah.
In it. So it's not afraid to get bloody. But, yeah, it's definitely lacking. When you do get anything, it's really quick. And again, it's always kind of like, there was one nice move there, but all right, we're done and move on. You know what I mean? Like that's its weakest point for sure.
Yeah, and the things heat up, like you said, when Akiko gets kidnapped and Yoshida's like, I'm just gonna go in there and kill everybody by myself.
Yeah,
like what? So I'm gonna do that. He's like, you're insane.
Well, we'll get more to that, I guess, specifically.
Well, this is the action scene, so let's talk about it.
I know, but we gotta talk about him specifically, I think, more when we get to the mentor part.
No, but, just go into the action scene.
But yes, we get to the ending, and he's gonna go take them all on, and he's gonna do it the traditional way, and it's the movie escalates and it goes up another level. But yeah, he's clearly, I think, more shown to be a samurai, and he's taking out people the ninja way. But whatever. He's like sniping people with his bow and arrow. He's tricking them. He's getting the guards to investigate a strange noise. And it did at the very, very start of it. I was like, this almost has a horror vibe. I kind of dig it.
What was that?
Because it's from the perspective of the guards. Which I thought was kind of cool.
It felt like Tenchu back on like PlayStation 2
or
whatever.
Yeah, Tenchu 2 was the game. I love that game for PlayStation. Yeah.
That's what this opening feels like of this big action beat where Yoshida goes in and starts picking off all the guards one by one.
Yeah, they're getting like arrowed in the chest and like the throat. Someone gets like slashed right in the face with a sword.
And like you said, come investigate this strange noise. Oh, sword in the face.
Yeah. And he's just taking guys out kind of left and right, and it's pretty fun to watch. And by the way, I love the there's like a panel of monitors, and there's like a fleet of people watching each monitor, and they're all looking into these cameras. There's like nothing on the cameras, but they're all like furiously taking down notes as they're looking at these cameras of nothing going on in the cameras. It's like, there can't be anything to write about. What are you writing about? But eventually they do catch them. And so that's when the alarm rings, and like an army comes out of this building.
Well, it's a convention center. It has room.
Yeah.
But yeah,
and he sneaks inside at that point though.
But when eventually he's still doing some sneaking, they see him. So like a whole like 6 guys come running at him. And that's when Rick reveals that he's been shadowing Yoshida the whole time. Yeah. And picks up one of the dead guards' M16s and blows all the guys away.
Yeah, it was when he's like in the amphitheater part.
Yeah.
And like he puts one of his swords in this thing to trick that he's hiding behind something. And then he takes these 2 guys out, and then he thinks he's okay, and that's when he gets ganged up on by some guys, and that's when Rick comes in with the machine gun and takes them all out. And he's so anti-modern, right? And you want to do this alone and do it the traditional way, but since Rick's saved his life and shot them all down, he gets over this really quickly.
Yeah.
And he's all of a sudden like, cool, all right, come on. Like, he doesn't say it, but he's like, all right, come on, like, let's go.
Well, you're here.
Yeah. It's like, oh, well, we just gave up on those morals pretty quickly. But all right. He's very okay with Rick using the machine gun to blow some guys away.
Yeah. So eventually, Yoshida reaches the big boss, Hideo, his brother. So it's ancestral.
Well, there's some other fun stuff there.
Oh, if you want to go in, go in. Yeah.
I mean, there was the bit with the elevator, where they trick the guys into the elevator, and then one guy gets taken out by Yoshida coming out, and then Yoshida goes up, so the other guy goes in the elevator to try to chase him, but then it opens up and it's Rick, and he gets him. Like, there was some fun kind of cat and mouse type of stuff as they're taking out more guys that I thought was pretty cool.
East meets West action scenes.
Yeah. So I enjoyed that kind of stuff. I'm trying to see if there's anything else. Sometimes Rick would lead a distraction, so then Yoshida can take him out. Or sometimes like Rick would be like trying to call someone's attention, and then he turns and Yoshida like slices a dude in the gut. At one point, his guts are coming out of his stomach from one of the sword slashes.
That'll happen. It's a very sharp sword.
And so it was, but I was surprised to see, like, they show blood earlier in the movie.
No, the level of violence at this ending, goes up a notch.
Yeah, for sure. Like, when I was definitely like, oh my gosh, his guts are hanging out. Like, I was a little surprised to see it go to that level. So anyway, now go to the boss thing. I don't know. Guts coming out, I had to mention it.
No, that's fair. Yeah, it's definitely a case where Tom Savini would be proud. It's like, hey, all right, let's go.
Some nice parkour Rick moves too. He's like rolling around and stuff like that.
So we finally get the big face-off between Hideo and Yoshida, Ancestral Sword versus Ancestral Sword.
Right.
And they have a little duel going back and forth. Unfortunately, Ando, the henchman, decides the duel is taking too long and just shoots Yoshida in the back.
Yeah, well, Yoshida, I think, is kind of has the upper hand. Like, I think he's slightly winning the fight.
Yeah.
Not that he's like wiping the floor with him, Hideo, but I think he's clearly like, it's looking good for Yoshida, and so Hideo's got his like his back to the wall, and Yoshida's in front, and then that's when
Ando just shoots him in the back. Yeah, and
Hideo is not happy,
furious, and promptly chomps Ando's head off.
Yeah. Which again is so weird for like a guy who like does not care about tradition and such, and he was totally cool with his guys just machine gunning them all down like a few scenes earlier, is now upset that somebody else took out his brother, even though he was cool with it basically a few scenes earlier. So weirdness there, but it's awesome just to see.
Yeah, no, it's
a quick change, head chopped off.
It is stunning. Like, whoa, he just chopped that dude's head off. Wow, okay. Didn't see that coming.
Yeah, it was fun.
So then we get the final ending fight scene. Because Yoshida can no longer go on, he's still alive, but he's hurt. He can't fight anymore.
Yeah.
Rick picks up the sword and says, I'm going to take him out. And the tables are definitely turned as far as the fight here, because Rick is clearly outmatched. He can't really handle a sword that well.
Which I think is like the best thing they did, that choice, because like, at least that helps everybody else who's like, there's no montage. He clearly didn't get that much training or that much better here. So this should be a quick fight. He should get killed here. And he's clearly running for his life and just trying everything.
Yeah. Rick uses his sneaky American powers and starts throwing office equipment at him.
Yes.
He gets him in the head with a stapler in the forehead.
Oh yeah. He doesn't like he's not throwing a stapler. He is punching staples into Hideo's face.
Yeah.
And you see it.
Yeah.
And it is great.
And we're not done. Then accidentally, I forget which one does it, but the wire to the copy machine gets sliced off, but it's still going. So Rick uses the live wire to electrocute Hideo.
Fight's still not over.
But then Hideo gets his sword stuck in a cubicle, and that's
first it gets stuck in a chair,
right?
Which was interesting. It was a really cool choreographed fight.
Yeah, like, it's worth
it was
money.
all over the place. He's like trying to stab him through like this like glass bookcase shelving thing.
Yeah.
To Rick's just trying to dodge it and trying to not die, and he just tosses it over. I mean, Hideo's also getting hits and shots in. Rick's gotten sliced a couple of times in the back. Like, he's pretty bloodied. Yeah. Like, he's looking a little John McClane. Like, he is not doing well in this fight. He's just managing to, again, like, I'm going to use my environment and try to again, trickery and my American ways over this. But yeah, eventually he tries to stab through a cubicle and gets stuck. And then...
And then Rick takes his sword, his ancestral sword, slices Hideo's head in half right down the middle.
Splits it. Yeah.
It's like an apple.
Yeah. It's, you're used to maybe if you're going to see a head chopped off, it is chopped off. Nope.
Yeah,
this one
off
is
the
just...
neck. No, I'm going down from the top of the skull down to the neck. Like, holy shit.
Yeah. And you just see it just split. And it's from the back point of view. So you see the back of a head. So it looks pretty good. Like, it doesn't look overly fake or anything. It was definitely like I had my hands up like, whoa.
Yeah.
Oh my God. That was awesome.
And that is basically the end of the movie, end of action.
Yeah, he basically stumbles out of this, because it all took place in this like one little office suite area
on the upper floors,
off the hallway that they were in. And he comes out looking like he's going to collapse and maybe die at any moment. And he puts the sword in front of him, and that's kind of it. Like, that's the ending.
So I gave the action a 2. It's that ending is great, and you could probably talk me into going 2.5 on it, but yeah.
Yeah, I actually went 3.
Wow.
I did. I love that ending so much. It helped so much. But you're right. I mean, we talked about it. It is real light and not great action-wise. I mean, when it does have its action moments, it's not like bad, super slow that you're like, ugh. It's just like, all right, a nice move or two, and really not a lot. And so I agree with you, but that ending put it up.
Okay, fair enough.
Another point for me that I don't know if I'd want a whole rewatch. But I could rewatch
the
that
ending. The last like 15 minutes.
It's so much fun. It really just, by the end of the movie, I'm like, okay, I kind of want to see this movie remade.
I think we have. I think we've seen like 1,000 versions of this movie.
You probably have seen this version. I mean, you might be right, but
White man goes east, learns about the culture.
Totally. I mean, I think Jean-Claude Van Damme made a couple of movies like that himself.
Pretty much.
But I don't know. I just thought it was so cool, that ending. I just loved it. Like, it's worth the price of admission. It made it worth it.
Okay.
Like, I'm glad I watched this movie just because I got to see how that movie ended. And I just want to say, anybody else, like, stick with it. Keep going, because it's so much fun at the end.
Well, let's get into mentor sidekick.
Yeah.
We got a mentor in this movie.
We do. It's straight up mentor.
Yeah.
Although, again, I don't know how much legit mentoring and what a one time maybe they have.
Could have used more.
Yeah. I mean, I also put the daughter in here a little too.
Yeah. If you have Toshiro Mifune in your movie, give him a lot to do. Yeah. Because he's awesome.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. I still have to see Yojimbo.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm going off more Seven Samurai here, but
well, he's the best part of that movie too. So
yeah, he is. No, for sure.
The legend Toshiro Mifune plays Yoshida. And
yes.
He's as old as I've ever seen him in a movie. But
I think he's is he 60 or 61 or something like that?
Yeah.
When he's making this movie,
yeah.
The dude still moves insanely well for his age. Like, all of his action sequences are not like, they're all great. Like, they're not like, you know what I mean? You see sometimes when older actors do action, you're like, ugh, like, we clearly have to do some help to make the guy not look slow. You know what I mean? Like, we have to, like when we watch Death Wish 2 and the guy's like, I'm going to purposely run a lot slower here to make it believable that this guy's catching up to me. Like, you don't have that in this movie.
Yeah, no, despite my man smoking like a chimney all his life, he can still move.
Yeah.
And it's funny because he's probably the fastest actor in the whole movie as far as action scenes are concerned.
He has the Boken wood sword training thing in towards the middle part of the movie that was fun. Like, that's like the introduction to him.
Yeah, he's just whipping all his students' ass.
Yeah, and it's actually a lot of fun to watch. Yep. And then again, like, the sword fight with his brother Hideo was great. Dude is fast. Mm-hmm. Like, I was surprised. It's all good.
Yeah, so I don't, we've kind of discussed him a bunch of times. I don't have a lot more to say about the way. Like, I freaking love the guy.
Yeah, I mean, he's, again, not much of a mentor. It's more the script writing problem. Like, they took out scenes that should have probably been there.
It's the same problem with Glenn's character. There's not a lot there, but the star presence of this actor really carries you through.
Yeah, exactly. The only other thing I guess you could add here is the daughter or the boy.
I do have something to say about both of them real quick. Okay. Toshio, the adult handicapped son of Yoshida, is played by Sab Shimono.
He looks so familiar.
You want me to tell you why?
Yes, I was like trying to look at his IMDb quick, and I'm like, I'm not figuring this out, and maybe Patrick will help me.
Yes. Sab was the orderly in the X-Files episode about the invisible rapey old people in the retirement home. That gave them the magic mushrooms.
Oh, yes. Isn't that like season 1?
I think it's season. It might be.
Or is it 2?
Like 1 or 2. I don't.
It's an early season. That so is it.
Yeah. He was also one of the main bad guys in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3. But he's been in a billion things. He's been a voice actor in a million things too.
Yeah, because I was looking at his DB, and I'm like, and same thing with Go. Like,
yes, I wrote down him too.
Yeah, I'm like, I see this guy a million times too, but I was like trying to like figure out what is the movie, like what is the thing.
Clyde Kawatsu, one of my favorite that guy character actors. Always delighted to see him. He has over 300 IMDb credits by himself.
Wow. And he's good, by the way, in his small bits too. He's good. He's charismatic. He's funny.
He's the guy who's the betrayer, and it breaks my heart because I love the guy. Yeah. I'm like, no, not you, man. Go. I
like
love
the
you.
whole like earlier when he's like, I'll tell him for you, or I'll let him know for you, or whatever. When Rick's trying to talk to him, he's like, can I sit here? Because everybody else is ignoring me. He's like, yes, you can sit here. And like, he's actually kind of somewhat nice to him. And then Rick starts complaining to him. He's like, all right, I'll let him know. And like, yeah, I can. Yeah, you're going to let him know. Okay. Like, there's some fun stuff there. Like, dude's good.
Well, my favorite Clyde performance, and I doubt he'd like enjoy me saying this, was in the Chuck Norris movie Top Dog.
Oh, good
Where
Lord.
he played Chuck Norris's, I guess, captain or whatever. And the sheer delight on this man's face that he has in assigning Chuck Norris a partner of a dog and how impressed he is with the dog is so delightful. He is so funny and adorable in the scene where he's like, this dog's great. You kind of suck. And like the scene goes on this for 5-10 minutes. It is so much fun.
When was the last time you saw a Top Dog? You seem really refreshed with it.
Hilariously enough, it has been a million years, but I remember this scene really, really well. I think
because
I'm pretty sure it's
seen it.
It's even in the trailer because this is a great scene.
I saw that movie when it came out on video. We probably rented it from Budget Video, and that was probably the first and last time I saw it.
Fair enough. I don't know, but if you even go into YouTube just to watch it, like, yeah, this is great.
Yeah,
even the trailer. I know it's in the trailer.
But yeah, he's good.
Oh, a special shout out to forgot to say Toshio's plan to sneak the sword back into Japan via his wheelchair.
Oh yeah,
that was a clever ruse. Good for him.
That was. Yeah.
Yeah, they disassembled the sword and shoved the actual sword part into the handle of his wheelchair.
Yeah, because when they bring it back after he went off like a freaking bridge.
Yeah. They bring the son's son's body back with the wheelchair, and then they disassemble the wheelchair. Like, yep, there it is. Like, wow.
And then at one point where they already had his ashes or something.
Yeah.
It's like there was like one quick line. It was like my brother's ashes or something, but went quick. But yeah.
I don't have a lot to say about Akiko, the Yoshida's daughter.
Yeah, she's very disapproving at first. Does rescue him, but otherwise doesn't really show much interest. They don't really have much communication again until a little bit later on, where all of a sudden he makes a move and she's like, what are you doing? And walks away. And then they meet up again and they have sex, which was a really weird sex scene because I'm pretty sure they had like 1 to 2 shots that they kept repeating.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Because it was like the same boob shot that happened 3 times. Like it was the exact same.
Appreciate the nudity. Thank you, 80s.
Yeah, no, I know, but still, it was just like we're just recycling this, right?
I bet you both actors were like, "Why are we doing this? You get me? We're gonna do this for 10 seconds, and you figure it out."
Yeah, all right. We'll keep that 2 5-second clips just rolling.
And if anything, I'm sure Scott Glenn was like trying to show off his body more. Like, Scott, get out of the way. This is the 80s. We want to show nudity of ladies. Like, you see how hard I work for this shit?
I worked really hard for these
Check
abs.
out these abs! The other guy I want to mention is my boy Jiro, the little boy who Rick befriends. One of the cutest little kids I've ever seen in a movie.
Oh, yeah.
Just absolutely.
The way he talks, too, I don't think he's dubbed or anything. Like, he's just like...
Jiro, no warrior. Jiro, disgrace. I was so sad for him. I wanted to hug him so much.
Yeah. I mean, that was the only, like, earned relationship in the whole movie.
Yeah.
Was him and Rick, who's, like, takes his kid under his wing and tries to get him to keep going and hang in there type of stuff. And so when you see that he gets injured...
Go!
Like, oh, no!
Go is my beloved Clyde. Smacks that kid up and injures him. And I'm like, how dare you really feel like Rick's rage at this? Like, no, not that kid.
I know.
He's too cute. This is effed up. We're not doing this anymore.
I felt like that was the only thing that really happens that the movie made me feel like, okay, I could see Rick coming in to trying to fight these guys now because they hurt the kid. You know what I mean? Like,
yes.
Kidnapping the daughter that he had sex with, or the store thing with Yoshida, like none of that really felt earned for him, but the boy was earned.
Yeah, hurting this little kid was on par with hurting the puppy or killing the puppy in John Wick. It's like, no, that's too cute. You're all gonna die for this.
But of course, that wasn't the straw that broke the camel's back. That actually was the straw that made him go like, "You people are insane. I'm out of here."
Yeah.
Which eventually leads to, I guess, the daughter getting kidnapped after their sex scene type of deal, which is really what he goes in to join to help. But it's just weird.
Yeah. So what'd you give mentor sidekicks?
I can see being lowered on this. I went probably too high off of the high of the ending in Yoshida, and how much fun that was. So I went 3.
Wow.
Probably because of the end of Yoshida and loving the boy. And those two are probably the main reasons why I went that high. But I admittedly, I was probably a little, recency bias. I could see myself going lower.
What's your final score in this movie?
I have it at a 10.5.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, well, it's not that crazy. I don't know why I'm going, wow.
I told you, I liked it.
9.5, so it's...
Okay. You would have, full point lower, I guess. But yeah, so I mean, I really enjoyed it. I don't...
Okay. No.
And again, it was mostly because of the ending.
Yeah, I looking through our top 10 list here. So I don't think it's better than I, the Jury. I don't think it's better than The Junkman.
Oh, I think it's a better movie than The Junkman.
I enjoyed The Junkman more. As an overall movie, I don't know. It's pretty close as far as how fractured this thing is. Silent Rage is... It's better than Beastmaster.
Yeah.
I don't know about Silent Rage. It's close. I think I like Silent Rage more.
It's definitely a better... action. There's better action altogether in Silent Rage. Although I don't know if Silent Rage ever reaches the heights of the ending of.
It's a good point.
Of the challenge.
It's a good point.
The Silent Rage has a weaker hero. It has a weaker mentor sidekick. It's
yeah, it certainly does.
I think
you're forgetting Ron Silver.
Yeah, well, I think as a complete movie from beginning to end, I could see Silent Rage maybe being better. Mostly action wise, it's just a better paced, a better action throughout movie.
Okay,
but I don't think it's. You know what I mean? I think it loses it because of hero. It loses it because of mentor. And again, it never the height of this ending is nothing.
I'm fine with moving up to a 10, or you down if you can come down to 10, and we'll put it above Silent Rage, but below the Junkman. I'm sorry, the Junkman is just an achievement.
All right.
Yes.
I can concede that.
Yes. I win again.
All right.
No, you moved me up, to be fair. So, this is cool.
Yeah, I mean, I was Yeah, I had 10.5. You were at 9.5.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
we were just at 10. So really, we both kind of went in the middle.
Yeah. Let's see if I have any other things to talk about for this movie. That's actually, I mentioned all my little tidbits, except for the worldwide gross of this movie was a little under 3.6 million. I couldn't find the budget, so it made a little over $11 million today. This was produced by CBS Films, which produced 2 movies, and this was the second one, and it closed after that. So, yeah, not a big hit.
Yeah. I mean, again, I think the 2 biggest problems this movie has is the action's poorly paced and the relationships just not being earned. But they have charismatic actors in it that are a good time within the villain category, hero category, mentor category. They're all charismatic, good stuff. Again, the weakest part is the writing relationship stuff. Action should be better, consistent throughout, but the high of that ending was great.
Yeah, it feels like the whole thing just got, from what I can read anyway, it sounds like rush production, last minute changes, kind of. They didn't make the movie they set out to make originally, so that hampered everything. But yeah, I'd say I don't regret watching it. So
yeah, I think this is pretty solid. It's interesting we have so many. I think 10's our highest given. Either that or 7. No, I think it's 10. We have the most 10 movies. The Jury, The Junkman, The Challenge, and Silent Rage are all 10s. And I think 7.5 is our next most points, like amount of movies that got a certain point range, or 6. Okay. Anyway, so it doesn't crack the top 5, but it's in the top 10.
You ready to announce what the next movie is?
Do I have to?
Yes, you do.
Right, it's Firefox.
Is it Firefox? It is Firefox.
Isn't it?
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, it's Firefox. Yeah.
Woo! Eastwood!
Yeah. I don't know if anybody's aware of this. Probably not. But I don't like Clint Eastwood.
It's un-American.
I'm not a fan.
Un-American.
Clint Eastwood, it's funny because I was just talking about this at work today. We were all having a conversation about actors we don't like because they're just them. They don't know how to play anything else. Their character name might be different, and and it might be in a different genre movie, but they're just themselves. And Clint Eastwood is that to me. He's just always Clint Eastwood, and it just frustrates me. I have a similar problem with Robert Redford. So yeah, it's funny. And then somebody was like, "Well, what about The Sting?" I was like, "What about it? That movie's great, but not because of Robert Redford. Come on." And then we all guess who we all ended up talking about for a while after that.
Paul Newman, because he's amazing.
Yeah, Paul. Everybody talked about Paul Newman after that.
Paul Newman's one of the greatest actors ever made. So,
yeah. Paul Newman's fantastic. So
I gotta get you to watch The Hot Rock someday.
There's still a lot of Paul Newman.
I'm talking about Robert Redford, but yeah.
Oh, Robert Redford? Oh,
yeah,
sorry.
No, there's a million Paul Newman. Actually, no, there are bad Paul Newman movies, but you never bummed about watching a Paul Newman movie because Paul Newman's there. You're like, yeah.
I think the best Robert Redford thing I've ever watched would be that episode of The Twilight Zone that he was in. I love that episode of The Twilight Zone where you don't know he's death till the end. It's like kind of the reveal type of deal, and it's like, oh snap! I really liked him, and I liked that episode. That and The Natural. Those are the Robert Redford movies that I can really get behind. Obviously, I did like The Sting, but not really because of him. But anyway, so Firefox, 1982, of course, 2 hours and 16 minutes. A pilot is sent into the Soviet Union on a mission to steal a prototype jet fighter that can partially be controlled by a Neuralink. Ooh, the future.
That's a 52-year-old Clint Eastwood doing some fighter pilot stuff. He was the original Tom Cruise. He was the original Top Gun Maverick.
I guess. Oh, man. This should be interesting. I'm already looking at a quick preview here.
Oh,
the effects look interesting.
The effects are real bad from what I saw. I've never seen this movie before either. I like Clint Eastwood, especially his cowboy movies, especially even you admit Good and the Bad and the Ugly effing rocks.
Yeah. To be fair, though, that's not really like I have a weird thing with Westerns. Like, I'm not a giant Western fan.
Yeah, it's pretty much Young Guns.
The genre never really spoke to me. It's Young Guns. It's
Tombstone.
Tombstone. I freaking love Tombstone. I'm your Huckleberry. And Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. That's basically it for me for Westerns.
Your loss.
Okay. It's just not for me. I don't know. The genre, I don't like it.
Okay.
So anyway, Firefox should be a bummer time for me. But it is on Amazon Prime for everyone else, so maybe you'll all like it. I don't know.
Yeah. Firefox.
All right, that is it for us. Please show your support for the podcast by leaving a review on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Play Music, or wherever you happen to listen to the show. Also, sharing is caring. Be sure to follow us on social media to get the latest show updates. You can contact us by emailing at filmbrochamp@gmail.com or find us by searching for the hashtag FilmBroChamp. We also like to tag things like 80s and action Twitter, that kind of stuff. But thank you for listening to this episode of the Film Bro Championship Podcast. Peace out, everyone.
Let's get it on, Kubo!